Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let's get started right away. If you have any issues, please let me know in the comments. But we should be good. Dow Jones is flat, Nasdaq is up 0.4%, S&P 500 is flat, and Russell 3000 is down 0.2%. You can see on this S&P 500 heat map that all of the gains today are coming from the Max 7 companies, especially Google is up 2.2%, Tesla is up 2.6%, Amazon is up 1, Microsoft is up 0.6, Nvidia is up 1.2%. Healthcare sector is down, and other sectors are essentially down. Financials are mixed. In Tesla news, you can see in this chart that the earnings estimates of Tesla have declined all the way back to 2019 levels. This graph was shared by Jim Chanos. He says, I know nothing fundamental matters in a vibes market, but the Tesla 2025, 2026 adjusted EPS estimates have round tripped to where they were in 2017, 2019, when the stock was below $30. This is happening in part because of the competitive surge across the world that Tesla is witnessing. You can see in this article that BYD beat Tesla in Europe for the first time with a 169% surge in sales. BYD sold more EVs in Europe than Tesla for the first time, overtaking the American brand that long led the continent's EV segment. China's top automaker registered 7,200 new battery electric vehicles in April, according to market researcher Jado Dynamics. That was up 169% from a year earlier, vaulting BYD into the top 10 brands by EV sales. Tesla sales, on the other hand, dropped 49%. And this is not the end of it, because BYD is bringing a new vehicle to Europe that's called Dolphin Surf EV. Chinese electric vehicle maker BYD's low-cost Dolphin Surf became its 10th model available in Europe on Wednesday, with the Berlin launch increasing pressure on European rivals to produce more affordable alternatives. This car is going to sell for $26,000 and has a range of 200 miles. But more importantly, this is a vehicle that I've been waiting for him to come to market, and China's Xiaomi to start selling YU7 in July, a rival to Tesla's Model Y. Xiaomi will start selling its YU7 electric vehicle in July, founder and CEO Li Jun said on Thursday, disclosing the launch date of the SUV. Analysts say will be the strongest rival in China to Tesla's best-selling Model Y. The world's third largest smartphone maker, which also makes cars, announced specifications for its EV model alongside launches of smartphones and tablets that use its self-developed chips. So this is an interesting vertical and horizontal integration that we don't really see from other automakers. Xiaomi did not disclose the prices or start taking pre-orders for the YU7. In his presentation of the YU7, Li made comparisons to the Tesla's Model Y. The YU7, for instance, had a driving range of up to 835 kilometers or 519 miles per charge, versus the redesigned Model Y that has launched in January with a range that is lower. The Model Y is priced from $36,500, and the YU7 configurations should make the car 6,000 to 7,000 yuan more expensive, Li said. But we'll talk about the price in July. So he's talking about the YU7. He's kind of hinting that the YU7 will be priced lower than the Model Y, despite being more valuable by 6,000 to 7,000 yuan. Xiaomi entered the auto sector last year with its sporty EV SU7, which drew styling cues from Porsche and was priced below Tesla's Model 3. Since December, the SU7 has outsold the Model 3 in China on a monthly basis. So in just 1 year, the SU7, which is a sedan, started outselling Tesla's Model 3, which has been in the country for several years. And I suspect this will happen even quicker for the YU7 because now Xiaomi is proven as an automaker with the SU7. Let's switch to a comparison here that you can see the YU7's variants, Standard, Pro, Max, 519 miles, 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. And if you get to Max, dual all-wheel drive, you can get 3.2-second acceleration with 472-mile range, which is amazing. But that's not the only company that's innovating in China. Spang is also coming out with an extremely valuable car. Mona M03 Max debuts with 580-kilometer range and no LiDAR autonomous driving. No LiDAR autonomous driving. Spang has officially launched the Mona M03 Max, the top spec version of its electric sedan, following its presentation during the 520 event for Mona series owners. The vehicle will be available in showrooms starting May 21. So that's the other thing about these automakers is that, when Tesla unveils a vehicle, sometimes it can come to market 10 years later or never, like the Roadster, or kind of get hung up with battery supply like the Semi that was announced first in 2018. But that's not the case with most of the automakers. They kind of, especially in China, they announce it and it's in the market the next month. The M03 Max features upgraded seating with front row seats offering three-way adjustable lumbar support using a triple airbag system. This configuration is intended to improve posture, etc. Let's go to the autonomous driving section. The vehicle runs Spang's Turing AI driving assistance system and the company's Tianji Smart Cockpit. The system provides voice interaction and scenario-based functions and supports over-the-air software updates. Performance specifications, 62 kilowatt-hour battery. Okay, we heard all this about 30 to 80%, approximately 26 minutes. Coefficient at 0.194, one of the lowest among mass-produced electric sedans, which is incredible. For autonomous driving, the M03 Max relies on a vision-only sensor suite. The system excludes LiDAR and uses only NVIDIA Orin 10 chips and 7 high-definition cameras. It supports highway and urban navigation-guided pilot NGP functions and AI-based valet parking. So these are things that Tesla investors or Elon Musk has said other companies cannot do. And now you're kind of seeing other companies do just as well, and they kind of include these features, in some cases, BYD's case, for example, for free. Internal testing shows a high success rate for automated parking and consistent operation in the urban environments. The M03 Max was originally shown alongside the standard M03 during the 2024 Auto Show. However, the release variant was postponed to allow for additional development for autonomous driving features. All right, in other news, U.S. House narrowly passes Trump's sweeping tax cut bill, stands on the Senate. The Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday passed a sweeping tax and spending bill that would enact much of President Trump's policy agenda and saddle the country with trillions of dollars more in debt, which is why we're seeing the yields surge, especially on the 2030, the long end of the yield curve. The bill passed by a single vote margin would fulfill many of Trump's populist campaign pledges, delivering. One second. The bill passed by a single vote margin would fulfill many of Trump's populist campaign pledges, delivering new brakes on tips and car loans and boosting spending on the military and border enforcement. It will add about $3.8 trillion to the federal government's $36 trillion in debt over the next decade, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. This is arguably the most significant piece of legislation that will ever be signed in the history of our country, Trump wrote on social media. The package passed 215 to 214 vote after a marathon push that kept lawmakers debating the bill through 2 successive nights. All of the chamber's Democrats and 2 Republicans voted against it, while the 3rd Republican voted present, neither or for against the bill. Another Republican missed the vote because he had fallen asleep. With a narrow 220 and 212 majority, House Speaker Mike Johnson could not afford to lose more than a handful of votes from his side, and he made several last-minute changes to satisfy various Republican factions. The House has passed generational, truly nation-shaping legislation, Johnson said. What Trump has dubbed a big, beautiful bill now heads to the Senate, which Republicans control by a 53 to 47 margin. Several said they would seek substantial changes over what is likely to be the weeks of debate. Senators are going to want to put their own imprint on it, said Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. The 1,100-page bill would extend corporate and individual tax cuts passed in 2017 during Trump's first term in office, cancel many green energy incentives passed by the Democratic former President Joe Biden, and tighten eligibility for health and food programs for the poor. It would also fund Trump's crackdown on immigration, adding tens of thousands of border guards and creating the capacity to deport up to 1 million people each year. Regulations on firearm silences would be loosened. Democrats blasted the bill as disproportionately benefiting the wealthy while cutting benefits for working Americans. The CBO found it would reduce income for the poorest 10% of U.S. households and boost income for the top 10%. This bill is a scam, a tax scam designed to steal from you, the American people, and give to Trump's millionaire and billionaire friends, Democratic Representative Jim McGovern said. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson speaks to the press as he leaves for a meeting at the White House on the budget. The bill passed despite growing concerns over the U.S. debt, which has reached 24% of GDP, prompting a downgrade of the United States' top-notch credit rating by Moody's last week. The U.S. government has recorded budget deficits every year of this century, as Republican and Democratic administrations alike have failed to bring spending into alignment with revenue. Interest payments accounted for $1 out of $8 spent by the U.S. government last year, more than the amount spent on the military, according to CBO. The share is due to grow to 1 out of 6 over the next 10 years as an aging population pushes the government's health and pension costs, even if Trump's budget bill is not taken into account. Investors unnerved by the country's worsening fiscal position and Trump's erratic tariff moves have been selling off U.S. assets that make up the bedrock of the global financial system. The dollar has fallen more than 10% since January, which, while yields on the 30-year Treasury bonds, a proxy for long-term U.S. government borrowing costs, have reached their highest level since October 2023. U.S. stock indices were little changed on Thursday. Solar energy stocks that benefit from green energy subsidies targeted bill were especially hard hit. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Bitcoin hovers near 111,000 as crypto momentum grows. Bitcoin broke a new record earlier today before settling at $111,000 per token, driven by institutional buying, a crypto-friendly environment, and an increasing appetite for an alternative store of wealth amid U.S. debt fears. The digital currency passed $111,700 on Thursday as a massive tax cut bill made its way through Congress. The market today is reacting to the fact that the government has sort of said it's on board to grow deficits, to print more money, to expand the fiscal debt, and thus forcing people to look outside of fiat currencies to an alternative. Matt Hoogan, CIO of digital asset management firm Bitwise, told Yahoo Finance on Thursday morning. The new record comes amid concerns of recent rising bond yields, a sign that investors may be growing uneasy with ballooning U.S. debt levels. I think something may have started to break with investors' long-term appetite for debt, Hoogan added. Now, as a result, mortgage rates inch up as U.S. credit downgrade weighs. Mortgage rates rose again this week after the U.S. lost its last top credit rating and jittery investors dumped Treasury holdings, sending yields higher. The average 30-year mortgage rate was 6.86 through Wednesday, up from 6.81 a week earlier. The average 15-year mortgage was above 6%. 10-year Treasury yields, which mortgage rates closely track, moved sharply higher in recent days after Moody's ratings downgraded the country's debt rating to a step below the top AAA rank. Due to concerns about the debt, debt ceiling is also going to be raised in the next couple of months, and I think these yields can move even higher if the economy doesn't go into a recession soon. And the last article, bond market jitters rise on narrative shift from positive tariff news to mounting U.S. debt crisis. The 30-year Treasury yield climbed as high as 5.15 on Thursday, its highest since 2023, and before that, levels not seen since 2007, following a week Treasury auction, and renewed fiscal concerns. The latest leg higher came early Thursday after the House approved President Trump's sweeping tax reform. All right. On that note, we're going to end today's episode. Please like and subscribe, and I will chat with you all next time. Take care.